Good morning again. Now, before we start with the session, I want to see a couple of, I'm expecting a couple of answers from you. So I'm going to start a poll, quickly answer those questions. So based on that, we can decide what are the different topics I need to include, or what are the different topics we can cut short and stuff like that. So I'm launching a poll right now. You can look at your screen and you can answer them. It's a very simple poll. So go ahead, do this quickly and tell me whether you can see it and whether you can quickly answer it. Okay, that's good. Wonderful. Hmm. 84% voted. 85. We'll wait for a couple of minutes, not couple of minutes, 1 minute, and then we'll end the poll. Okay. Okay. Last few seconds, and then I'll end the poll and we'll start with the session. Okay, I think 202 out of 228 have voted. That's fine. I think others not able to see this. That's the reason they're not able to wait. Okay, so let me end the poll and let us look at the poll result. Now it seems like, let me put that right here. So probably you can also see what exactly is the answer. So I'm going to share the poll result with you as well, so you can see who your colleagues are. So if I look at the questions, it seems like what is your experience? Almost 73% of the students are fresher. 10% are having 1 to 3 years of experience. 6% are having 3 to 6, and well, 11% are having 7+ years experience. Very good, wonderful. Now it seems like almost 69% people, let's say 70% people are student, 20% are programmer, 2% are system administrators, good. 0% teacher, that's good. And 9% of others means something else, that's fine. And have you used Python before? Seems like 15% already have seen Python before, already have used Python before. That's wonderful, because if you already have seen Python before, you might learn some advanced concepts there. And it seems like 86% people have not seen Python before. So that's good. I mean, if you're starting it from the scratch, that will be wonderful, because I'm also considering the same thing. So considering the result, considering the percentage here, it seems like 90% of you are students, or no, not 90, 70% of you are students, almost 70% are fresher, and almost 86% have not seen Python before. So I think this is what the plan should be. Now, because there are many people who haven't seen Python before, and I'm assuming that you haven't seen, or maybe you are looking at Python as your first object-oriented programming. So I would like to start from scratch. Now, scratch in a sense, we'll start with what we'll go from there. So what is a programming language? What are the different variables? What are the different data types, the functions and stuff like that? So probably we will start from the bar where I'm assuming everyone are on the same page, and probably you haven't seen or you haven't encountered any other programming language. So we'll start with the programming fundamentals. Is that okay for all of you? I know there are a few experienced guys. For them, it will be a kind of revision. Is that okay for you? All of you? Can you just confirm whether yes, whether no?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. No problem. I appreciate that you are responding very well. That's good. Okay, now coming back to the point, coming back to the subject, let's continue with the sessions and let's see what are the different things, what we are going to see, who we are now, what will be the timings, and let me clarify a few of your questions. Now, I've seen that earlier today, you already have put some questions. So let me first answer those questions and then we'll continue with the session. So let me just give you a quick overview of it. That will answer your questions as well. So basically what we are going to start here is the Python fundamentals. And when I say fundamentals, we will start with literally basics. Now to do this, considerable time. And when I say considerable time, it will take more time than what we have expected earlier. Generally it happens. So when you are going to say like you are going to learn a language might take more than what you have decided. So what we are going to do here is, we earlier said that it will be a kind of couple of weeks. We are going to increase 1 or 2 weeks more than what we have said earlier. Again, there will be no extra charge for that, but because I know Python very well, and I know that you are also going to need Python fundamental plus advanced concept, so we have increased the timeline. Again, it will be not chargeable. It's something like what I'm going to give you from my side, because I love Python. Python is my first language. I mean, I started my career with the Python way back in 2007. So I love Python from my heart. So that's a reason. I mean, I have used the Python in various different technologies, and I want you to get an advantage of it. So that's a reason why we have kind of increased the timeline from whatever we have said earlier to something, you will see that later, something that is going to extend for a week or so. Now there is a little bit timing change as well, because I've seen that there are people who are coming from industry, so they are also having their own timeline. They are also having their company as well. Maybe they need to reach time, they need to reach company on time, or they need to start their time, they need to start their work on time. So basically, instead of running from 8 to 11, we are going to run from 8 to 10:15. Now I'm saying 10:15, so we'll wrap up around 10, maybe 15 minutes we can put it for question and answers. I think you won't mind it, because again, I know that there are people, that's the reason why I conducted that poll. Seems like there are people coming from companies, and I want them to start their work on time as well. So that's the reason there is a small change. And of course, we are going to increase the timeline, so no worries about that. Okay, now whenever we are going to have a session, every single day, the sessions will be recorded. Now, when I say sessions will be recorded, I know this is an online course, and you know, when you are doing this online, you are completely dependent on your internet connection. It might happen that you, because of some reason, your internet is not working, or because of some reason you got disconnected, and because of some reason you're not able to re-log in again. So it happens because we are completely dependent on internet, and nothing is in your hands, neither in my hands as well. So we are completely dependent on some entities, so we cannot assure that every single day, every single minute you will be available here. So to take an advantage of internet, to take an advantage of technologies we are using, we are kind of recording every single session here. So even if you miss a couple of minutes in the session, or even if you miss a complete session or a couple of sessions due to some other assignments, probably you will be able to find that recording immediately on the same day after a couple of hours in the student portals. Later on, either maybe you already have received it, or if not, then you are going to receive today the invitation for joining our student portal. In the student portal, you will see all the recordings. So this is something which I need to tell you one more time. The recordings will be always there. Don't worry about even if you are missing a session or missing a couple of points in the session. You can always go, revise them, rewind video a couple of times, and get the concepts again. Okay, so every lecture will be recorded and will be made available in the student portal. Don't forget that. Now the recordings will expire 7 days after your course. 7 days after your course, in a sense, whenever we will call it as a day or last day. After that, next 7 days, the entire session, entire videos will be available, and after that they will expire. So if you are planning something, then plan it accordingly. Again, very important, you will need to use only one machine to watch the videos. This is a kind of restrictions. We have seen people who are sharing their username and passwords. I mean, we can't control that, and you know this very well. So people share their login credentials, and they share the videos as well. So to counterfeit this problem, we have developed a simple algorithms here, not simple, little bit complicated algorithms here, that will identify whether you are changing your machine. That means when you are doing it for the first time, just make sure that the machine you are going to use for watching the videos will stay with you. So this is a kind of restrictions we already have put here. So if you want to watch the videos, you have to register your device first. And when you're registering your device first time, that device will be used for watching the videos. You cannot change the device. Okay, so make sure that you are getting the point. This is again for counterfeiting the problem we already have encountered earlier. Now, student portal will not allow you to share your videos with the others. That's what I said. And don't do that. It's not, it's not a good idea to do that. And anyways, because we have added the technical restrictions there, you won't be able to do that. So I know you are good people, so you're not going to do it. But you know what? We already had bad experiences earlier. So this time we are taking a kind of little bit precaution. That's the reason why I'm just clarifying all the points with you. Okay, now very important, now, because we are going to write so many programs, and believe me or not, starting from tomorrow, today will be a kind of overview, today will be a kind of concepts or concepts only class, where I'm going to tell you the architecture of Python, how the Python program works and all of these things. But starting from tomorrow, there will be lot and lot of code. And I know, because I've already have seen that 70% of you are freshers, then it might not be possible for you to match up the speed with me. So what we have done here is we have developed a utility for sharing the code. We call it as a code sharing utility. So what happens here is, like, when I start writing the code here on my machine, you will open the student portal on your machine and you'll be able to see exact same thing what I see here. So generally what happens here is it will become easy for you to literally copy and paste the code if you're not able to write the code with that speed what I'm writing. So that will make your life a little bit easier. I want all of you to write the code along with me. But again, it happens. I mean, it is, it's a time actually, which takes to write the code. And again, I don't want you to lose the concept in between. So we have developed this utility. That utility is available in our student portal. So as you register with the student portal, you will come to see different utilities there. So basically, whenever I'm going to write the code here on my machine, that same code will be available within fraction of second on your machine inside the student portal. You can simply grab the code, put it in your machine and give it a try. So this is something that will make your life so easy. This is generally again available in the student portal, and for that you'll have to register yourself. So later today or maybe tomorrow, you are going to get an email. You can register yourself there and you will start using this utility along with me. Another very important, anything which you want to learn maybe for the first time, it takes time, I know that, but what matters is whether you are practicing or not. Now, only practicing will not help you to understand the concepts or will not make you the confident about the technologies. And that's the reason why we are going to have few exercises. Now, exercises will be there almost, not, I'm not promising every single day, but almost maybe every day or maybe alternate day. We'll see, depending on the topic, we will see when to start the exercise. But believe me, there will be exercises almost every single day or every alternate day. That exercise will give you a confidence about the technology, the confidence about the topic you have learned, and that will also help you to solve the real life problems. So that will be almost every day or almost maybe twice or thrice a week. We'll see that, we'll figure it out. Okay. Now, on top of it, we are going to have a weekly quizzes. So every Friday, maybe end of the day, you will going to get an invitation again on the student portal, and you will have to solve maybe almost 10 to 20 questions based on the topics we have covered. That will be extra things for you. So that whatever you have seen, you can solve some questions and see whether you can answer them. And of course, if you're not able to answer them, the answers will be there as well. So you can test how much have you understood. Okay, so that's another thing that will help you to understand whether your understanding is matching with the rest of you, or whether your understanding is up to the mark. So that will help you to do the same thing. On top of that, we are going to develop a small mini project. We call it as a mini project because we don't want to waste too much of time into it. We'll do it right after we are done with all the sessions. Now, when I say we want to develop a mini project, there are many different things in that project. So that will give you a real life idea where to use Python, how to use Python, and what not to do when you are developing a project. So this is a very small mini project. It will take hardly a couple of days for us to design it, but we will do it towards the end of the entire session. So that we'll see whatever packages we have seen so far, we can include them in our project. Okay. So that's again one thing that you should remind yourself, that after completing your course, you are going to solve that mini project. And once you're done with that, then you are going to get your certificate. Anyways, so this is all about the course. If anyone is having any doubt about the course, please go ahead, please ask the question, put that question on chat. I'll try to answer that question. Okay. Keep the size of PPT as it is now. Yes, Dipanjan, I will. This is the size, and I'm not going to change it. I'll just try to zoom in and zoom out a little bit. Okay. So other than that, I'm not going to change it. Okay. Parag, how are you going to share the daily data, Git or WhatsApp group? The data or the code which we are going to write, the notes which we are going to provide, the books I'm going to refer, and the book PDF which I already have with me, I'll put them on a Git repository. And once you register yourself on the student portal, you'll have to register yourself on the student portal with your Git username. And once you do that, you're going to get an invitation from GitLab, and there you will find every single line of code and the books and the notes and every single thing there. Okay. I'm a fan of diagrams. So you will see that starting from today, there will be a lot of diagrams I'm going to draw. All of these diagrams, this PDF which I'm using here on my iPad right now. So all of these things will be shared with you via Git. Okay. So probably Parag, you got your answer. Parth, go ahead, continue. What's your question? Go ahead and answer the question. Go ahead and ask the question. I'll try to answer it. Okay. By the time you are asking the question, Shripati, your question, mini project, will you help us to complete this project? Absolutely. I'm here to help you out. So it's not only the project that you have to design on your own. I'll give you some hints, like you have to go from this screen to this screen, or probably, I'll give you a kind of architecture as well. And based on that, you have to design the mini project. See, it's for your practice. I can help you, but I will not write the code for you. Okay. I hope you got the point. So yes, I'm going to definitely help you out. Don't worry. Sanjay, your question, the course is useful for ML. Can Jupyter Notebook or any other libraries? Just wait for a minute, because probably once we are done with this course overview, I'll go to the course agenda and I'll tell you what exactly we are going to see. The course is a kind of prerequisite for ML. So right after this, we are launching for the another course for machine learning. And if you want to go for machine learning, Python is the de facto standard in these days. And that's a reason why we have designed this course. This course will give you enough information to start with ML. So Sanjay, yes, this is a kind of prerequisite for ML, and all the machine learning concepts or all the machine learning prerequisites we are going to cover in this session. Okay, so probably that answers your question. Parth, how can you unmute? No, you will not be able to unmute yourself. It's better you can put the question on chat. Generally what happens is, when we unmute the students, then multiple people start talking at the same time and it will be a chaos. Instead of having a chaos, it's better you type the question on chat and then I'll try to answer. I know it will take some time, but it's okay. Put the question. By the time I'll answer the other questions, you'll be able to type your question there. Is that okay, Parth? If you insist, I can unmute you as well. It's not a big deal, but I would request you to, instead of unmuting, you can put the question on chat. Okay. Sanjay, I am not getting the context right now. Probably you are asking about the course is useful for ML and use. Yes, this course will be a kind of prerequisite, not only for ML. This is a prerequisite for system administration as well. That's the reason I was looking for how many of you are system administrators. It's okay, hardly 2% of you are a system administrator, but okay, you will get enough idea about this course that you will be able to use it as a scripting language to solve or to automate few things which you need to do manually if you don't know Python. Okay. There is one more question, Pooja. I don't have a Git account. Don't worry, you can go to the GitLab. You will get a complete email talking about the instructions that you have to follow to create your GitLab account. It's free. Don't worry about that. So you just have to create your new account, provide the account ID with us, a username with us, and probably you're going to get the data every single day. Okay, so Pooja, just create a Git account. You will get an instruction email later, and it's free of cost. There is no charge for that. Okay, Chandrakant, your question. Mobile users facing much problem while downloading the GitLab data. Can you please share the data on WhatsApp group? I don't mind it, and I will try to do both of these things. I'll try to share the data on the Git as well as on the WhatsApp. Those people who are having trouble getting the Git, they can get the data from WhatsApp. Those who are using it on their daily basis, then they can start getting the data from the Git repository. I would still recommend to go for a Git repository alone, but if you say that, no problem, I'll share the data on your WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so Chandrakant, yes, don't worry, I'll do that as well. Meenal, your question: what should I install on my machine? I'll talk about that once we come to that point. So today I'll tell you what needs to be done there, what are different things which we are going to need, and how do you set up your environment. Okay, so just hold your question. You are going to get an answer. Yes, Manav, please go ahead and ask your question. Utpal, PyCharm or Spider? Wait, I'll answer that question. Amit, your question. I'm using my office laptop to attend a session. Will it be useful that once the lectures are over, will I be able to watch the videos, let's say after 2 months and 3 months from down the line? Unfortunately, no, because the course, I mean, after we are done with the course, we are going to move, I mean, we are going to keep those videos for 7 days. And after 7 days, the videos will get expired. Okay. So probably that is a kind of restrictions. If you show your interest, we'll try to see if it is possible for us to increase it for a month or so. But again, I can't guarantee that. Last time it happened, I mean, last batch we conducted was something called as a DevOps. If you're aware about the DevOps, then we just finished with that DevOps session. And those people were so excited and those people showed so interest. So we requested our provider to, increase the expiration date from 7 days to a month. So if you show that interest and if you are too serious about it, we'll definitely do something about that. Okay. So the number I mentioned here may vary depending on the interest you are showing. I hope, Amit, you got my point. Okay. Okay, Apuja, I'm going to create it now. Fine. Okay, no problem. Just create and share with us. Not a big deal. Okay. Who's that? Vipin, is this course cover enough content so that I can go for IoT? This will cover more than what you are going to need in IoT. Okay, so don't worry. There are so many things. Just wait for a minute or two. Once we are done with this, I'll show you what are different things we are going to cover, and you will be blown away by the contents of it. And you will see how huge the contents are. Don't worry. Okay, come, who's that? Ajinkya, your question. Should I install PyCharm? Just wait, I'll mention that. The answer is yes, but just wait a minute, I'll mention that separately. Sagar, can you please help us providing the information regarding the career ahead using Python? Definitely towards the end of it, or probably in between, whenever we need that point or whenever we go to that package, I definitely will tell you what are the career options for you. So Python is a kind of language which will not help you alone in the sense the language will not help you. The packages inside the languages will help you a lot. What do you mean by that? Just wait and you will get the answer in a minute. Now, Pat, your question, can you share the code a bit earlier? Yes, the moment we are done with the session, I'll share the code or I'll put the code in the Git. So immediately you will start getting that code from your Git repository. Along with that, as I'm going to type the code, you're going to see that on your student portal live. That's a live code share. Okay. So probably the code will be shared immediately. And of course, you can also copy paste the code in the class itself. I hope that will help you a lot. Shripati, are you going to teach us for the interview oriented concepts? Yes, there are a few concepts where you are going to, we are going to go a little bit deeper because of those topics are a little bit important for your interviews. Fortunately, I'm conducting many interviews for many different companies. I'm a freelancer. I'll mention that in a minute. So I know what type of questions people generally ask in the interview. So definitely I'm going to talk about those questions, and I'll also tell you how to answer those questions. Okay. Parth, your question, yes, in India, it would be best practice. Yes, of course, yes, that's fine. Thanks a lot for it. Pooja, which software we require for Python? Just wait, I'll talk about how to set up your environment. Manav, I'm working in a finance firm where we are automating the complex multiplex Excel files. Will Python would be helpful for me? I don't have a coding background. Manav, it is so fortunate that you asked that question because I already have developed an application for my other client where the exact same thing where the was the problem. They were running an application and that application was generating the data in the CSV format, not in the Excel, but they were generating in a CSV format. CSV stands for comma separated file. So Manav, you know what I'm talking about. So that application was generating ton of CSV files and they wanted to use that data in mobile applications. So they came to me and they asked me like whether it is possible for you to do that. So I said it's possible. So they asked me which language would you prefer to do that. I said I have a couple of options for you. You tell me which one you are looking for. So they said we are looking for JavaScript. I told them like JavaScript is not a good language, but they didn't listen to me. So finally, we developed the application in JavaScript. I delivered that application, but soon after I delivered the application, they found out that there was some problem in the performance. And I told them, I literally proved them that they were wrong with their language selection, because JavaScript is good from web development. It's also good for developing server-sided application, but it's not good for what you are looking for. So finally, I convinced them to go for Python. And believe me or not, the Python application, it was so fast that it outperformed the JavaScript applications. And from then, they started using the Python. Right now, they are using Python in their daily lives. And the application which I developed for them, it was generating almost like it was kind of processing GBs of data in inconsiderable, but in a couple of minutes. So that is the power of Python. Python is one of the fastest language there. So Manav, yes, you will be able to do definitely what you're looking for just after you are finishing this course. Okay. And because I've done that practically, so I can tell you that from my own experience that Python outperforms the other languages. Yes. Tania, your question, will we be also get the interview? I'm sorry, get an overview of Django or Flask? Wait, you will get your answer. Okay. Yogesh, your question, prerequisite for learning Python. There is no prerequisite. I mean, there is one. You should have enthusiasm about the Python. That's the only thing what you need. Otherwise, you really don't need anything. As I said earlier, we are going to start Python from the scratch. I'm going to assume that you guys don't know anything about the programming language, and we'll start from there. This is generally my habit. I mean, it's always, it's already proven that if you want to take a long jump, you can't just directly take a long jump from the place you are. So it's better you can take 2 steps back, take a run up, and then take a long jump. That will help you to go as long as you are looking for. So basically, that's what we are going to do. We are not going to start from Python as a language from the language point of view, but we will take a step back and we'll understand what language is, or what are the different types of languages available, where the Python language fits, and why Python is so popular, why Python is so fast. Okay. So Yogesh, definitely that will be a kind of requirement for you, that you just need to, you just have to have the enthusiasm about it. You just have to have curiosity about learning the new things. That's the only prerequisite. Other than that, you don't need anything. One thing is very sure, that you should have a laptop with you, or maybe a desktop machine with you. Otherwise, you will not be able to practice it. Practice makes man perfect. So here also the same rule applies. So you have to have a machine, and that's the only prerequisite for you. Otherwise, you don't have to learn any of the programming languages, any of the other programming languages. So even if you're considering yourself as a Python, or Python as a first language, that also will give you so many benefits here. So hopefully, Yogesh, I think you got your answer. Okay. Megha, I don't have a laptop, so what should I do that practice? Suggest me. If you don't have any laptop, then probably I think it's better you can arrange one, because unless you practice, you will not be able to get the hands-on on this. Fine, I mean, you will understand the concept, but ultimately, unless you practice it, you will not get comfortable with it. It's like when you're going for learning a car in a car driving school, and if the car driving instructor tells you like you have to put this gear, you have to put that gear in particular scenario, you will understand it. But unless you drive the car on your own, unless you dash your car a couple of times, you will not understand like when to apply that brake, when to accelerate, when to go from first gear to second gear, and when to change the gears. So unless you practice, you'll not be able to do that. So I would suggest, Megha, arrange a machine. Could be a laptop, could be a desktop. Arrange a machine and then start practicing it. Okay. Not only for you, but it's a kind of rule for everyone. Practice more so you will get the answer. Okay. Manav, you are working. Okay. So I think I answered your question. Okay. Amit, your question. Thanks for answering. No problem. Appreciate it. You asked that question. Samir, your question. I don't have a laptop. What should I do? The same story again. Again, the same answer. Try to arrange one. Otherwise, you will just understand the concept, but you will not able to practice it. And if you don't practice it, the understanding will also go in vain. So don't let that happen. Try to arrange a machine. Could be a laptop, could be a desktop, and probably deal with it. Okay. Utpal, what is your opinion from switching the field from semiconductor to data science? I hope this course will help. Utpal, I mean, thanks for asking that question. But you know what? When you are switching a career in data science is a huge field. And believe me, it's a huge field. I mean, if you are going for data science, there are various different categories. I mean, fortunately, I'm also in machine learning, and right after we are done with this course, we are going to launch the machine learning, and I'm going to clear all these things there as well. In the, what is the data science, what is machine learning, where it fits in the data science. But you know what? There is a kind of prerequisite for data science. There is a kind of prerequisite for being an ML developer. You need to know statistic a lot. So if you don't know statistics, I think you can be a programmer, but you will not be able to, you will not be a data science person there or data scientist there. There are different career opportunities there. But if you already are in one industry and if you're looking to change the industry, you should look for some gain, you know. And when I say gain, being being human beings and of course being Indians, we always will focus on money part of it, you know. So if we are getting some extra money while switching the career, then we'll be kind of focusing on that. But if you are getting the same amount of same salary from switching from first career to second career, I think it's just for your mindset. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything out of it. I mean, if you really are desperate about switching your career and if you want to learn something new, then go for it. But if you don't have the statistics background, stay in your field and do this as a side by side. Okay. Otherwise, it will be a little bit difficult for you to survive there in the data science. Right now, machine learning is in boom. Right now, data science is in boom. But for that, you have to have a kind of prerequisite or, you know, the knowledge which will help you to stay there or to survive there in that field. Statistics is the one. So if you have the statistics knowledge, definitely think about switching your career right now. Python will definitely help you to do that. But if you are a kind of only a developer, then you can be a machine learning developer, but you will not be able to be a data scientist. And believe me or not, again, in the data science field, data scientist is the person who is going to get the max salary. I mean, if you're looking for salary as your first preference when you're switching the career, then probably data scientist is the person who is going to get a lot of salary there. So think about it twice. Okay. But definitely, this course is going to help you to prepare yourself for data science, precisely for machine learning. Okay. Okay, code sharing will be very full. Good. Sanjay, yes, certification in the sense, if you're talking about a certificate, yes, you're going to get the certificate after you're done with this course. And of course, that certificate will be given to you after you're done with your project as well. Okay, project is going to be very important. What are the valid certification available? I'll talk about the other certifications as well. Let the course finish and we'll talk about different certifications there. Okay. Are you going to cover the Python scripting for automation? Yes, there are two packages we are going to use later when we go for the automation techniques. So yes, I will be covering that as well. Who's that? Namrata, code sharing is copy paste like this. Yes, code sharing is like copy paste, just copy and paste, and that will solve your problem. You don't have to type the code along with me. Okay. Sachin, guys, all things are clear in the process ahead. Yes, I know that, Sachin, but just let the questions get answered, and then we'll continue with it. Don't worry. Today is the kind of session we will have a more discussion. Starting from tomorrow, we'll write turn of serious code. Okay. Shrikant, I think the C++, how fast is that? We'll talk about this. Don't worry about the language details. Right after we are done, we will see how C++, how the Python, how the other languages are different from each other. Who's that? Amarendra. I am a mechanical background. I'm having a CDI course this year. I've completed the CDI course, I did the Python. Definitely that will help you to understand the Python concept. And if you're looking for the other languages, you will be able to compare Python with the other languages and you'll be able to understand those languages in little more depth. Shubha, I'm not a coding person, but I have a basic knowledge of Java. Is the Python going to be advantageous? Of course, yes. It's going to be very easy. Rather, Python is the easiest language, the simplest language on the earth. You will see that why once we start writing the code there. Manish, I'm working as a manual tester. If you are a tester, you are on the right field because when you're going for a testing field, Python shines there. Python has different packages which will help you to write automated test cases, and that is a perfect career change for you. You don't have to go for Java. You can go for Python as well. Python is one of the best languages when you're going for testing, automation, image processing, and whatnot. Python shines everywhere, you know. Okay, now let us wrap up all these questions and then we'll start with the actual session. Who's that? Sachin, I'm sorry. Sachin, oh yeah, Sachin, your question, what are the valid certifications? I'll talk about them once we are done with the course, don't worry. Abhijit, your question, guys, all things will be cleared ahead. Yes, Abhijit, absolutely. All things are going to clear ahead and probably we'll have to just test our patience. That's it. That's what I can say. Okay. Yes, Pratik will start with the sessions. The questions will never end, understand. And of course, that is the case. And that is what is happening right now. You guys are putting all the questions. I think most of the questions are already answered. Now, instead of looking for only questions, because if I start answering all the questions, probably it is going to take almost entire session to answer the questions. And still, the questions will not stop. So if you don't mind, should we start with the actual course? Should we start with the next point? Can I answer those questions separately? If you're having some questions, put that on WhatsApp. I'll try to answer those individually. I think most of the questions are similar right now. So probably you will definitely get the context out of the sessions, out of the other answers as well. Okay. Thanks for that confirmation, guys. I mean, really appreciate that. Okay, so let us start with the course again. Probably I mentioned all of these things. Please keep this in your mind that we are going to see that, or rather we are not going to see that sessions, recorded sessions right after the 7 days of our course. So please bear with us. Okay, now before we start with the actual session, let me quickly introduce myself. I know there are a few people who have not attended my other sessions. So let me introduce myself quickly, and then we'll continue with the actual session. Then we'll see the course agenda and stuff like that. So who am I? My name is Amit. You probably have seen my name there in the course description. So my name is Amit. My name Amit Kulkarni, the full name. I'm having a decade of years of experience. So probably you might say that I started my career way back in 2004. After that, I got post-graduation from Vadia College. And after that, I started my actual programming career way back in 2007. So 2007, I joined a company named Covilix. I got selected from my college. And after that, working in 2 hours in that company, I felt really bored. I mean, I felt really bored because when you go to company, you have to just obey your boss's instructions. You'll not be able to explore yourself. And what worse was that time, you will not be able to, pursue your own interest. That was the main problem I was facing there. So finally, I quit that company and I started freelancing, or I started my own firm while freelancing the other companies. So I'm a freelance freelancing is in my blood. So basically, I'm a freelance developer. I develop many different type of applications for different clients. Many different applications. I mean to say that mobile applications like Android and iOS, developed some applications on Windows and BlackBerry as well. But you know what? Windows and BlackBerry, both of them committed suicide. Windows said they cannot continue further because they can't have they don't have the technology to compete with iOS and Android. And BlackBerry, they literally committed a suicide. They said our operating system is not going to compete with them, so they stopped working on the BlackBerry. You might see the BlackBerry devices these days, but the BlackBerry devices are also having the Android in them. So it's not actually truly BlackBerry. So BlackBerry was having their own operating systems, but nowadays it's gone. Now, other than mobile applications, I also work in the web technologies using different frameworks, different stacks. PHP, I think it might be possible that you already have heard about this language. Best language, should I say, fastest language when you are going for web development. Other than that, I'm into Mean, Angular, and more React, Native, React, and all of that stream as well. So I develop any applications for my real clients. And when I say I'm a freelance, I'm actually developing applications for my clients as well. So generally I work in 2 phases or in 2 parts. The morning 8 to 1:30, I work as a faculty here or as a teacher here in Sunbeam. And right after 2 o'clock, I start my developers day. I mean, my clients are from UK and US. So for me, 2 o'clock is the right time because 2 o'clock is 9 a.m. for them. So I start my day as a developer at 2 o'clock until almost like 12 in the morning, or maybe sometimes 1 or 1:30 in the morning. I work continuously and I love working it. It's not because of I'm getting a lot of money there, but I love working that. I love developing applications. I love technologies, and that's the reason why I'm doing this. Okay. So probably you are in a good hands. So probably if you are having any industry related problems, or if you are having some real life issues, you can definitely ask them. I'll definitely try to answer them. Okay. Now, when I started working as a freelance developer, fortunately, I came into contact with Nitin sir, who's the CEO of Sunbeam, and he asked me whether I'm interested in delivering sessions here. Because I was already having experience at that time in iOS. I developed back then in 2009, almost like 87 applications back then. So probably I started my sessions, I started my Sunbeam Sunbeam teaching career way back in 2009, and I joined there as a faculty. Today, I'm also working as, or I'm also having a title of associate technical director in Sunbeam. So probably again I'm saying you are in a good hands, don't worry about it. As I said, I worked in multiple different domains. So even if not even in Python, if you are having different questions or different problems in different technologies, you can definitely come back to me. I'll try to resolve it. I'm not guaranteeing you, but I'll try to resolve it. Now, other than that, as people are talking about certifications, I'm holding a couple of certifications as well, which are very famous these days. I don't know whether you have heard about DevOps, but DevOps is in boom again. So under DevOps, there are two technologies which shines a lot. One of them is the Kubernetes and the other one is the Docker. Both of them are in boom and both of them are a little bit complicated. That's the reason why I generally like the technologies which are very difficult to understand. So I got a certification from Kubernetes and Docker, and also from the Jenkins. This is the one, those people who are working in the industry, those are already experienced, they might have heard about them: Kubernetes, Docker, Jenkins, all of them. So I have all the certifications done for that. So even if you're having some questions there, don't worry, just ask the questions. I'll try to answer your questions. Just don't ask the questions here. Put those questions on WhatsApp. I'll try to answer them. Okay. Enough about me. Not something that I can tell you other than that. So it's okay. I just wanted to know that, like, you should know your instructor, who you are and who I am. So probably that's the reason I included this slide. Now let's coming back to the main topic. This is what we are going to see in this particular session, and this will help you to understand or to answer your own questions. So see what are different things we are going to cover. So we'll start with the basic introduction. So here we'll see what Python is, what are the different Python versions are available, how to set up your environment, or what are the different things that you need to know before you start writing your first line of code. Okay. So after that, we will set up our environment. We'll download the different editors depending on your choice, and then we'll start writing the code. Now, when we start writing the code, there are a few basic things that you need to know. For example, you need to know the data structures, like data structures, maybe the basic data structures, the data types, and the collections. Collection is going to be a very important topic in Python. We are going to spend enough time on it. There are 4 types of collections in Python, and we are going to explore each one of them in details. Now, no application or no programming language is complete without writing the statements. And when I say statements, you are going to write the statements to perform some kind of operations, like mathematical operations, relation operations, logical operations. All of these operations will require you to use one of the operators. So we are going to explore multiple different operators there. Not only that, we are going to also design our own operators as well. We'll see how to do that later, but this is something that we are going to see right after we are done with the data structures. Again, as I said, you have to write the statements. We'll talk about different type of statements: control statements, comment statements, loop statements, and so on and so forth. Then we'll move to the functions. Functions is again the de facto standard in all the different programming languages you have seen or you might see in your future. This is the one with which you are going to reuse your code. We'll see functions in Python are a little bit different than other languages. So you will see many different new things coming in this language, which you might not see in other languages. We'll see, we'll explore that later. Now, once we are done with the basic things, we'll start learning the advanced features. And when I say advanced features, these are very, very, very advanced, and you will need extensive knowledge of Python to understand these concepts: generators and decorators. We'll see what these topics are or what these things will give you in the real world. We'll talk about it. Now, till this line, whatever is there in this particular slide, whatever in this, till this line, this is something called as a scripting Python. Now, scripted Python or scripting Python. Now, what do you mean by scripting here? The scripting here simply means when we are kind of writing the code, we are not taking the help from the objects, or we are not taking the help from object-oriented packages. So if you want to reuse your code further, if you want to write the better code, not only in Python, in any languages, you can switch from, this is called as a POP, procedure oriented programming. We are going to switch from POP to OOP, and that's where we are going to do right after we are done with the basic structure, basic POP or basic Python scripting. Then we'll start with OOP. Again, I'm not going to consider that you have already seen other languages like C++ or Java. We'll start with literally basics. We'll start with the basic OOP, the OOP features. What exactly do you mean by OOP? What are the different terminologies out there and how they are applying in the Python? So that's what we are going to see in OOP. Now, once OOP is done, we'll start talking about some intermediate package. Sanjay, you see what are the different packages we are going to cover here? Okay. So probably when you talk about this Python, as I said earlier, Python alone will not help you to do anything. Python will ask you to use one of the packages, and that package will help you to solve your problem. So when we are talking about the package, what do you mean by it? or what do you mean by module is what we are going to see in this particular part. You might have seen that there are three things here. One is the basic part. The basic part will just give the fundamentals about it. Once we know the fundamental, it's like the layered approach. Once we know the basic things, or once we have the foundation ready, we'll go to the next layer, intermediate, and there we'll talk about some more advanced features about Python. So we'll talk about the modules and packages, how we can get some different packages from the third party. We'll see how to do that later. Then we'll explore the Python as a functional programming language. Again, when you're going for data science, when you're going for machine learning, this topic will literally help you a lot to process your data in no time. So this will give you a kind of introduction to map, filter, reduce, and we'll see what exactly is required there. Now, someone was asking about, are we going to cover something called as a Flask? Are we going to cover the Django? Here you are. So we're going to talk about the web services. And when I say web services, we'll try to develop the web services using the REST standard, the representational state transfer. It is it's a standard industry standard approach to solve the web services problem. So we'll see and we'll explore what web services are and how we can design those web services by using Flask. We'll talk about this later. Again, those people who are interested to go for ML or data science, for them, probably these packages are going to be bread and butter for you. So if you are considering yourself as an ML developer, or if you want to be an ML developer in future, then you have to know Python, you have to know pandas, you have to know data analysis, and you have to know data visualization. As I said last time, this course will give you enough understanding that you can directly start learning the ML either on your own, or if you are interested, you can join our next batch as well. So probably these packages are going to be very important for you. So these packages not only used in ML, you can also use them for your other functionalities as well. So NumPy is going to process ton of data in no time. Pandas is going to give you a kind of table-like structure so that you can fire some queries without needing any other stuff. It's very popular and it's very simple to use. Data analysis is where we are going to learn the data. We are going to understand the data more so that we can process something and then we can use the data for further analysis, further analytics, not analysis, analytics. Data visualization is where we are going to use a package called as a Matplotlib and something called as a Seaborn. So using Matplotlib and Seaborn, we are going to draw different type of charts. Now, when I say charts, it includes something like a pie chart, line chart, scatter chart, 3D charts, some advanced charts, and so on and so forth. We'll see. There are many different charts we are going to see by using Matplotlib and Sealab. This is again Seaborn. This is again in data visualization. Someone was asking about the testing. I said testing is one of the fields where Python really shines. So in testing, we'll first see the fundamentals of testing. What exactly do you mean by testing? And how do you explore a package called as a Selenium for testing is what we are going to see in that particular scenario. We are going to also use a package called as a Beautiful Soup, with which we are going to get some required data, and then we'll start testing on top of it. So this is for the testers who are looking for a career in the testing point of view. So if you are a tester and if you want to go for an automation, then Python is really a language for you, because Python has various different packages like Selenium, Beautiful Soup, and there's a couple of more. We'll explore them in this topic. This is layer 1, basic. This is layer 2, intermediate. Now, after we are done with the intermediate layer, definitely we want to go to the next step, and the next step is the advanced. Now, this is the cherry on the top. So this is where we are going to see some really advanced concepts. So this is where we are going to see operating systems, multi-threading. So if you want to run multiple functions at the same time, how do you do that? That will be done by using, or that will be done by starting multiple threads at the same time. So this is multi-threading. Now, Python is very popular language for doing many different things. One of them is like image processing. So if you want to do that image processing, for example, if you are having ton of images, and if you want to convert them to black and white, if you want to find out, the portion of a particular image, if you want to do the perspective changes, if you want to go for different image processing algorithms, OpenCV is the de facto standard here. You might have heard about this as well. OpenCV is very, very popular. For example, if you might have seen when you're paying your charges on the tool booth, in a sense, the tool booth is going to give you a receipt. If you have seen that particular receipt, you might notice that the receipt is going to have your car's number. What do you see? The person who is sitting in that booth, is he going to peep around you and then he's going to type the car number by literally typing on the keyboard? Never. So what they do is they generally take a snap of your car, they find out the number plate out of it, and they convert that number to the textual number. Everything happens automatically. If you really want to do something like this, the OpenCV is the package that you should go for. It's very famous, and I'm going to introduce that package to you so that if anyone who is looking for image processing career can go for this, and can switch the entire your mindset into the image processing. It's very, very, very simple in OpenCV. Of course, you will need to do something there, but yes, it's a little bit simpler. Okay, now web scraping is another you can say the career where you can use Python and do a lot of stuff. Web scraping is the concept where we are going to generate the data based on visiting different websites. For example, when you ask anything to the Google can answer all of your questions. It's just because Google already has got the data from various different websites. How do they do that? They do that by using something called as a web scraping. So web scraping is another thing where you can use Python, and we are going to use Selenium and of course the beautiful soup for web scraping. We'll see what web scraping is and what are the different packages and how to use them there. Another kind of advanced concepts, meta classes. We'll use meta classes to write some advanced program. This is, I mean, I can't explain it right now what and how it is going to be used, right? Because you will not be able to understand that. So we'll go to that session and we'll see what meta classes are. This is one of the most difficult concepts in Python to understand. Anyways, we'll learn that later once we are done with the first two layers, basic layer and the intermediate layer. Now, when you talk about the Python uses something called as a PVM. PVM stands for Python Virtual Machine. So what is a Python virtual machine, and what is the architecture of it, how it helps you to run your Python code, how it helps to automate the memory management is what we are going to see right inside this one. So you will see how Python architecture is laid out and how it is going to help you to write the better code. Now, generally what happens here is when we are writing code, ultimately the code will get shipped to the production environment. And when you are going to the production environment, there are many different clients who will start using your application. It might work for a couple of requests, but if there are millions of requests coming, your application will not survive. So if you want that application to survive, you have to scale that application. So how can you scale it? That's what we are going to see right here. Of course, this requires a little bit knowledge of Docker, and probably before we start with that topic, I'm going to give you a couple of videos. We already have conducted the sessions for Docker earlier as well. I'll give you a couple of small videos where you can understand the technology, at least to the introduction level, and then maybe I'll tell you like how you can put your code inside a Docker and how you can ship that product to the to your production server. This is again optional if you want to do this in real industry, because I've seen that people already are coming from the real industry and they definitely want to do it. So probably, yes, I'm going to show you how to do that in Docker. If anyone is coming from Kubernetes, I can also show you that how you can do the same thing in Kubernetes as well. But again, this is optional. If you are interested, I'll talk about it. If you say that it's too much, we'll cut it out. It's up to us. Of course, this is something which is kind of mandatory for us. This is the deployment. Deployment in a sense, when we are developing our applications on our machine, we'll be able to access it. I mean, when I write my code, I'll be able to access it. But when I want my other users to use my application, then I can't just give them my IP address or my machine's name. It's not possible because they will not be able to reach to my machines over the internet. And that's the reason why we have to deploy our code to somewhere in the cloud. So we'll see what do you mean by cloud quickly, and then we'll put our code in VM, in virtual machines or containers. That is a deployment, and deployment is the last stage in the actual product development. Okay. And finally, as I see there are a few administrators there. So we'll see basic administrations using Python. For example, if you want to create a number of users, how can you solve that problem by using something like a Python script? Or maybe if you want to take some backups on a regular basis, how Python is going to help you out in that case. If you want to convert some data from one type to another type continuously, how that how the Python is going to help you to solve that problem is what we are going to see in the administration topic. So probably you might have seen that we are going to learn Python in 3 different steps, in 3 different layers: the basic layer, the intermediate layer, and something like an advanced layer. Believe me or not, it's too much, I know. You might have not expected all of these things. I did not mention all of these things in the description, in the course description, but I want to deliver even more than that. So I generally, yes, I generally understand that this is too much, and that's the reason I said we will increase the course length to maybe 1 or 2 weeks so that we can cover all the topics. Okay. So Amar, I know, I understand that we will not be able to finish all of this syllabus in 21 days. Of course, you are putting 3 question marks. I understand your your question there. So it's not possible for me to cover all of these things in 21 days. That's the reason I said we'll increase at least 1 or 2 hours. Okay, so that's the reason. Yes, Sanjay, instead of increasing to 3 hours, will increase the Ds. See, there is a problem with increasing to 3 hours. Even if I do it, it's hardly matters. I mean, it hardly matters, because ultimately after 2 hours, it's again a psychology, and that's what we have already studied last time. So after 2 hours, maximum 2 to 2:30 hours, people will get saturated because it's monotonous. You know, I'm the only person who is talking, and you don't have any other things to look at. So it's kind of monotonous, and you will start feeling the bore after 2 hours. This is the mentality. It's not only for you, it happens with me as well. Huh. There is only one exception, and I can tell you that, and you agree to me, that if you are watching movie, then you will not feel bored. You know why? The reason is because when you're watching a movie, there are different sound effects, there are different animations going on, and you will feel interested in it. If you talk about this one, it's probably, you know what, get little bit bored after some time. That's the reason why instead of going in vertical orientation, we are going in a horizontal scaling. This is generally vertical in a sense. Instead of increasing hours per day, we're increasing number of days. That will help you to understand the concepts in a little bit slower speed, and probably it will help you to understand for more time. Okay. So Sanjay, I think that's the approach we have taken. Okay. So if you don't agree, just I mean, I can't say anything. Sorry for that, but this is what we already had decided. You know. Yes. Exactly. I know that there are many people who are coming from the industry as well, and for them also, it's not possible to attend a session till 11. So it's better we can just stop around 10 or 10:15, and then we can increase the number of days. Okay, no problem. Okay. Yes. Amar, please try to cover it all syllabus. It will be beneficial for us. It's not like we'll try to cover all the syllabus. It's like we will cover all the syllabus. I'll tell you that. I mean, again, it's not the first batch we are conducting here. This is we have conducted 2 offline batches, 1 online batch. Let me tell you, last time we decided to go for 3 weeks, entire 3 weeks. And actually what happened, we end up having 5 weeks. I mean, we said that we'll cover not this, but we'll cover Python in 3 weeks. But when we started talking about the Python, people started getting their own interest, and we started doing the actual business. And then we thought of like 3 weeks are not sufficient for them. So I increased to 2 weeks after that. Not only these topics, but we also covered some other topics as well. So probably this is going to happen with you as well. If you're not able to finish it in the same time, no problem. We'll just extend the days. See, my intention here is not to cover the syllabus. My intention here to give you the entire the entire platform. Python you can consider as a platform. So if you want to switch to another career, you can definitely use Python and do the stuff there. So that's the reason why for me number of days doesn't matter. What matters for me is the knowledge, and what matters for me is all the entire things which are required you to understand Python. You have to understand. Even if it is taking a little bit more time than what we have said, don't worry, we'll try to extend it. Okay, so don't worry about the time. Even if it is taking more time, we will still go for it. Okay, and of course this is not for me, it's for you. We will not increase the number of hours, we'll increase the number of days. Okay, that's what the strategy we have taken. Okay, so as I said earlier, we are going to start with the basics, then intermediate, and then the advanced. Okay, so let us start with the basic then. So, before we start with the basic, let me tell you what exactly we are not going to cover. I told you what exactly we are going to cover. Forgot to mention like what we are not going to cover. Please bear in your mind, this is not a data science course, so we are not going to cover the data science. Though I have included the analysis, we are not going to cover the analytics. There is a difference between analysis and analytics. I'll mention the differences between them when we go to that topic. Okay, so this is not analytics course, or this is not a course which will tell you like how to do some kind of processing on top of the data. We'll do that in a separate session, not in the Python but in the data science or in the machine learning there. So there we'll talk about analysis and analytics in details. This is not a course for machine learning, so we are not going to talk a single thing about the machine learning, though we will talk about all the prerequisites of machine learning. I mentioned there are a couple of packages we are going to use. For example, NumPy, for example, Pandas, for example, Matplotlib, for example, Seaborn. All of them are kind of prerequisite for machine learning. This is not a machine learning course, so we are not going to cover machine learning, but definitely the prerequisite for machine learning will be there. Again, we will not cover all the testing fundamentals. Definitely we will do the testing, but we are not going to be a testers, or we will not going to understand all the testing related things, because it will take another couple of weeks to just talk about the testing and the type of different testings and the different fundamentals about the testing. So we are not going to cover that. Please bear in your mind. We are also not going to cover the image processing fundamentals. I mean, though I mentioned OpenCV is there, OpenCV will use programmatically. We will not go for the image processing algorithms. There are a bunch of, should I say bunch of? No, should I say ton of algorithms there for image processing. So probably we are not going to cover the algorithms. I'll tell you definitely like what needs to be used to solve the problem. For example, I'll tell you how to convert the colorful image to the grayscale, colorful image to the black and white. I'll tell you that, but will not go for the algorithm behind it. And when you are doing, or when you are calling a function, I think even if you don't know the algorithm, if you know the function you are calling, probably you can do your job. So we're not going to cover the image processing fundamental. Okay, this is not a course of digital signal processing. If you really want to understand the digital signal processing, you might look at the syllabus in your syllabus in your college days. Probably you will find some different books there that will give you understanding of digital signal processing from conceptual or from the theoretical way. Here we are going to do the practically. I'll tell you that using this language, using this program, probably or using this particular function, you can probably do something there. So there are a few things which we'll learn from the practical point of view, not the algorithm point of view. So remember that. This is again not a course for web development. So though I'm going to talk about the Flask and Django, will not be developing the full website. REST applications or the REST web services, we are going to definitely develop them. But again, we are not web developers, so we are not going to develop the HTML and CSS there. Of course, a couple of examples will be shown there, but we are not going to go for the full web architecture there, because again it will take a couple of weeks just to talk about what web is and what web architecture is. So we are not going to do that. Next, though I said we are going to cover some administration related topics, again we are not going for Linux administration. We just have started yesterday, the last Saturday, Sunday, we just have started another session, another completely different batch for only Linux administrators. There we talk about generally what Linux is, how can you go for Linux administration, how can you create users, groups, permissions, and blah 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 blah. This is not a course for that, so don't expect me to talk about Linux administration here, though I will talk about the Python packages used for doing the administration. Again, this is not a course for cloud computing, so don't expect me to talk about the cloud, because again it will increase the code length for a couple of more weeks. Can't be done here. Okay, finally, we are now going to talk about the containerization and CI/CD pipeline. Those who are freshers, they might not have even heard about these things, so leave it. Those who are coming from industry, they might have heard about. When I say containerization, I'm talking about something called as a Docker, and when I say CI/CD pipeline, I'm talking about something called as a Jenkins. If you are more interested about that, I will share some videos with you. I will talk about the how to implement it, or I'll give you a couple of demos, but even if you don't understand that, it's perfectly all right. When you literally go to the industry and when you start doing this, you probably will get benefit of it. Okay. Okay, so probably this is what we are not going to cover. So probably I think I made myself clear, like what we are going to cover and what we are not going to cover. So now you must have got a complete idea about what you are going to be, or what you are going to learn and what you are not going to learn from the course. Okay. Yogesh, you're saying, actually I missed your DevOps batch. Also, let me provide the batch recording session. I'll ready to pay. Yogesh, contact Priya ma'am. Priya ma'am will help you out. Okay. Shubham, histogram equalization. Yes, this is again, this is again from the OpenCV. I will talk about it, but I will not talk about the background details of it. That again comes from the image processing or Maybe you can talk about the OpenCV fundamentals. Okay. Yes, Shripadi, I think I'm covering almost all the topics here from Python. I don't think I'm leaving any topic behind, but definitely if something is left, no problem. I'm going to share some videos. I'm going to share some websites to get the information from, and also recommend few books as well. Okay, no problem. Adesh, this is not a course of Android, so we will not talk about anything related to DVM or Dalvik Virtual Machine. Don't expect me to talk about it here. Okay, this is not a course for Android development. Abhilash, is there any relation between R programming language and Python? Yes, there is little bit. Both of them are used for machine learning, and both of them are very popular language when you go to the ML part of the world. If you ask me, Python is really used a lot than R. I mean, if you are going to be a data scientist, then you will prefer using R. And if you want to be if you want to be a ML developer or ML engineer or data engineer, then you can use Python a lot. So basically, moral of the story here is, if you want to be a data scientist, you will learn R, and if you want to be a data engineer, you will learn Python. If you know Python, you can learn R easily because R is using almost a similar syntax like the Python. The concepts are almost similar to the Python as well, but R is developed only for statistics, not for the other type of work. But Python is a general programming language. You can use Python for anything. You can see that I've talked about many different packages here, which can give you the applications developed in variety of programs, variety of domains. So Python is a general purpose programming language. Okay. Okay. Now let us start with the language fundamentals, and let us see what exactly that you need to know before we start with actual Python, or before writing even the first line of the code. Now, when you talk about the any computer language, so basically you know that the computer language is used to interact with your computer. So this is the one with which you feed your instructions to the machine, to the CPU, and the CPU is going to obey the instructions, is going to execute the instructions, and probably you are going to get what you are looking from out of that application. So probably if I want to add a few numbers, then I will instruct my CPU to get the first number, add the second number into it, add the third number into it, and then give me the output. That can be done by using a computer language. So this is a language with which we can convey our thoughts to our machine. A language is used to solve the problem by giving some solutions or writing the programs, and those programs will be fed to the CPU, and the CPU is the one who is going to execute the code. So this is generally the case. Now, when you want to write your program, you are having a language, but when you talk about the language itself, there are different types of languages. For example, there is a language called as a machine, or there is a language called as a assembly language. These are two basic languages. Now, when I talk about the machine language is the one which was used back then, which was having zeros and ones. This is generally the binary language, which can be directly executed by the CPU. Now, before we talk about this, let me just give you a big picture of it, so you will understand where I'm coming from and what exactly is the requirement of understanding these computer languages. So generally what happens here is, if you consider this machine, let's say this is my machine, and if you consider this is my machine, then probably you will see there is a hardware layer. So you are having your main hardware, that is the CPU. Other than that, you might have a RAM, for example, that is the memory. Other than that, you are going to have something like a storage, the NIC and the graphics card and stuff like that. I'm not interested in that. So basically, I'm talking about only the main part, that is the CPU here, because CPU is the one which is going to execute all the instructions. It is going to execute all your code and going to give you the result. But if I want to talk to that CPU, how can I do it? For example, I want to add a 10 plus 10. I mean, for this, we will never write a program, but just for an example, I'm saying, if I want to add two numbers, how can I ask my CPU to do it? To do this, I will write the program. So this is the program, and that program can be fed to the CPU. So the CPU can run that program, run the instructions, and give you the output. How do you do that then? To do this, ultimately, this is the CPU who is going to execute my code. Now, CPU can understand only one language because it's a mechanical device. It can understand a language of current high and current low. Now, being programmers, we don't want to deal with that current high and current low. So basically, what being a developer or being a programmer, what the people have done is like they have represented two states, current in, current out, or current high, current low, by using 1 and a 0. Again, I'm not going into electronics point of view from here, but I'm just telling you that this 1 will represent a one electrical state, and 0 is going to represent other electrical state. So when you want to deal with CPU directly, and back then when there was no personal computer, or when there was no when there was no other languages, people were directly communicating with the CPU. They were passing literally ones and zeros by using different means. I hope you might have heard about something called as the punching cards. Punching cards were cards where people were literally making their holes. Like, if you consider this as a punching card, if you are putting a hole in a sense, literally putting a hole, then this would be considered as a 0, or this would be considered as a 1. Again, there is a 0, a 0, then again 0, 0, 0, so on and so forth. I mean, that 0 is nothing but the holes in the punch card. And those punch cards were getting fed to the actual machine. Now, looking at the pattern, the punch card reader would understand, or would interpret it as 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. And whatever is the instruction that was getting executed by the CPU. That was the story back before even getting an actual programming language. Still, that is the story. But nowadays, we don't use these punching cards. So these punching cards are outdated. We don't use them. So after looking at the popularity of machines, popularity of CPU, the CPU manufacturers started giving the simpler approach to the developers. They said, don't worry about the ones and zeros. Let us take care of it. Instead of you dealing with the ones and zeros, we will deal with it. You start giving the instructions into something called as an assembly language. So this is the ASM. ASM stands for assembly language. So that's what I was talking about. When you consider a programming language, the base or the basic programming language is the machine language. Machine language is the one which is understood by the CPU, and CPU is the one which is going to execute all of your instructions. If you want to talk to the CPU directly, you are free to do that, but believe me, it's very difficult. You have to talk from the ones and zeros perspective, and it's not that easy. And that's the reason why we generally deal with ones and zeros. We deal with assembly programming language. I hope you might have even heard about it. If you are not done the programming in assembly, it's okay, but at least you must have heard about this. CPU understands assembly, and if you want to deal with the CPU, you have to write the code in assembly. For example, if I want to add those two numbers, I'll have to use an instruction called as add. Then we'll have to say use A and B. A is an accumulator, B is another register there. So you can get the data, or you can get the value from B, put that or add that to the A and put the result into A. This is what the assembly language will ask you to do if you want to add these two numbers. Again, when you're talking about assembly language, it's a little bit difficult to deal with, and that's the reason why Dennis Ritchie thought of creating a better compiler for it. I mean, Dennis Ritchie started using assembly language, and he designed the entire operating system using it, the Unix version 1. He started designing it, and he designed it in assembly. But because the assembly language is the CPU specific, he encountered that problem when he wanted to run the same program on the another machine having a completely different CPU architecture. Because the CPU changes, the assembly language changes. When I say CPU changes, probably you might have heard about different types of CPUs. For example, the one which we are using on our machine, this is called as a CISC processor. It's complex instruction set computing. If you are using your mobile, the mobile is running something called as an ARM processor. ARM stands for Advanced RISC Machine. That R here means RISC, reduced instruction set computing. If you are going for the image processing and the other stuff, there is something called as a MIPS, there is something called as a Hitachi, and there are so many other options available. If you are going from let's say Sun, then they are having their own architecture, Alpha, and there are many different options available here in the CPU world. So as you change the CPU type, you see the manufacturer will change the assembly. So assembly for RISC is different than assembly for CISC, is different than assembly from MIPS, is different than assembly from Alpha Spark, and so on and so forth. So basically, when you are changing the instruction, you are changing the CPU, the entire assembly language changes, and that's the reason it was difficult for Dennis Ritchie to port his program for one machine to another machine. So what he thought? He thought creating a separate program that will convert his higher level language like C or C++ into the program that will have the assembly language in it. So basically, what he thought of this, so he started designing a .C program, and then he created a compiler. This he called it as a compiler. And using this compiler, he converted that .c, which is a kind of human readable program, into the assembly code. So this is a human readable program, C, and this is the assembly program, which can be understood by using CPU. So this is what he used earlier, and this is a technique he started using, and he called it as a language called as a C. Later on, with Bijan Stroustrup used object-oriented concepts. He added all of them on top of C to create C++. Later on, Tom Love and Brad Cox, they added this object-oriented concept on C to create Objective-C. Later on, maybe James Gosling have added those object-oriented concepts to create another language called as a Java. Later on, Guido Rossum is the person who invented Python. Later on, Brandon Eek designed his own language called as JavaScript. Later on, Chris Leitner designed his own language called as something like a Swift. Later on, there are so many languages. How many can I tell you? So all of these people started learning the same fundamentals from the Dennis Ritchie's point of view, and they started creating their own languages. And that's the reason why we are having different type of programming languages these days. So probably, as I said, there are many programming languages. They are kind of categorized into different categories. For example, when you talk about the programming languages, you might see general programming languages these days, which can be used for general programming. For example, Python is the best general programming language or general purpose language. General purpose means that programming language can be used to solve multiple different problems. If you want to develop a testing application, no problem, you can go with Python. If you want to develop a web application, no problem, Python is very useful there. If you want to go for something like a data science application, no problem, Python is good for that. If you want to go for image processing algorithm, no problem, Python is another best language there. So general purpose language is the language which can be used for doing any stuff, any type of stuff. Python is the best general purpose language. So I'll just mention here, this is the Python. So probably I'll say that this is the Python, and Python is one of the best languages for doing the general purpose work. Now there is another type of language called as a markup language. Now you might have heard about something like HTML. Let me just add a couple of examples here. This is HTML. This is another hypertext markup language. You might have heard about this. There is another one, something called as XML. This is also extended markup language that is also used for transferring data from one to another, or this is also used for doing some schematic representation of your data. There is another one which is generally used in Kubernetes and in DevOps world. It's called as YAML, yet another markup language. So probably there are many different markup languages which are used for doing some data representation. HTML, XML, SGML, YML, all of them are the examples of markup languages. Now there are few languages which can be used for style sheet or which can be used for decoration. Probably if you are a web developer, you might have seen there is a language called as, it's not a language actually, but it's a kind of package which is used in the browser to decorate your web pages. It's called a CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. This is a style sheet language. There are many different options available. CSS is the best style sheet language there. Another type of language is called as a configuration language. Configuration language is a language with which you can provide the configuration. Again, the best option in this category, configuration language, is something like a XML, is something like a JSON, or is something like a YAML. So you can go for any one of them, and these are the best options for you when you want to put some configurations into the file. XML is preferred there when you want to go for a configuration file. Another language, something called as a query. Now you might have heard about databases like MySQL, Postgre, Oracle, MySQL Server, and so on and so forth. All of these databases store the data in their own format. But if you want to retrieve the data, if you want to process the data with those databases, you have to talk in the language they can understand. So they understand this type of language called as a query language. So probably you might have heard about something called as a SQL, standard query language, or structured query language, is the one which is used to make the database operations easy. So you can use, or you can learn that SQL, and you can do all of these database operations with almost all RDBMSs. So this is the query language. This is the category where you can learn, where you can perform the queries on the databases. And finally, there is a scripting language category, the languages which can be used to write simple program to perform small operations. For again, example, you can go for Python. Python is also a scripting language. Another one, something called as a JS, JavaScript. Another one, something called as a Swift, which we generally use for iPhone development. And there are a bunch of them. There is a Ruby, for example, and there are a bunch of them available. PHP, another language, which is a scripting language as well, which can be used for web development, and so on and so forth. So basically, before we talk about the Python, I wanted to give you a kind of a glimpse about where we have started. We started with literally talking about talking to the CPUs from ones and zeros, but it was very difficult. So CPU manufacturers started giving us assembly language with which we could use the opcodes. These are called as operation codes or opcodes, with which we started designing or we started writing the code. But people started finding it difficult. That's the reason the the C language got invented by Dennis Ritchie, and following his path, many different developers started developing their own languages. So probably there are a bunch of languages like these days, and those languages can be categorized into different categories like this. Now, where we are standing right now, we are using, or we are going to use, the Python language. Python, you can put that in general purpose language, or you can also put that in a scripting language. Both of these categories are okay for Python. Python is a very famous general purpose language, you can call it as. So it has all the features for you to use it in variety of different domains. Okay, now you know what exactly do you mean by a language, what exactly do you mean by what do you know by Python as a language. Let us quickly go for a low-level language and high-level language comparison. Now, when I say low-level language and high-level language, it's like when you talk about this diagram, the assembly here is the low-level language, and C or maybe Python or maybe all these language are something called as a high-level language. So again, these are the categories of your languages. So what is a low-level language and what is a high-level language? A low-level language is a programmer-friendly because we can write a syntax, which we can read, which we can modify, which we can optimize in the way we generally read the code. This is for programmers. When you talk about the low level is machine-friendly. Basically, this is nothing but your assembly language. Assembly is not for me. Assembly is for the actual actual CPU. I mean, though we can write the code in assembly, but it's more used by the CPU than a developer. High-level languages they are less memory efficient because they use a ton of different data structures. They require memory, where the assembly language is going to be a very memory efficient because they are going to use a small amount of memory because you are going to run directly the application inside the CPU. High-level languages are easy to understand. These are tough to understand. That's the reason generally people don't write the assembly language. They generally use the high-level language. High-level language like Python and low-level language like assembly. So you can compare both of them and you can understand like why people are going with the Python. High-level languages like Python, later you will see, very simple to debug. So if you find some problem, if you find some issue there, it's very simple for you to debug. You can put the breakpoint, you can debug. I'll show you how it can be done, but it's very simple to debug. Assembly language, on the other hand, is very complex when you want to find the issue within it. So bear with that language. It's very difficult to write the code there. It's very difficult to find the issues in that. This is simple to maintain. This is a little bit complicated because when you change the CPU, when you change your architecture, your assembly language changes. So you have to learn all the different architecture assembly languages from different manufacturers. That's another problem here. That's the reason it's not portable, and this is a portable, which means when you change the CPU, you have to learn that CPU's language. But when you change the CPU, you don't have to learn Python again. Python can run on any language, any CPU or any operating system. So it is a portable, while the other one is not portable. You can run on it any platform. It is a machine dependent. As I said, when you change the CPU, your assembly language changes, and if the assembly language changes, you have to again make the changes in your program to run on the different CPU. And finally, it needs the compiler or interpreter for the translation. It needs an assembler for translation. Now, what do you mean by that interpreter, compiler, or assembler? I'm going to show that in a moment. So let's start with it then. So what do you mean by a compiled language? Now, please pay attention to these two types because there is a misconception. People generally have it. And I bet those people who said that they know Python, there is a misconception about that Python they might have heard about earlier. Probably you can get that clear today. See this. Now, when you talk about the languages, the historically first language which was so popular was C. Now, what was a C? A C language was a compiled language. What do you mean by compiled language? Remember last time what I said, when you are writing a C code, let's say this is the C code, and if I want to execute that code, I cannot directly pass that code to my CPU because CPU would not understand how to execute the code there. Why? His answer is very simple, because CPU can understand only one language, and that is assembly. You are writing your code in C, and probably when you're writing in C, CPU would not understand the instructions given by you. So you need a program that will convert that C into the way CPU can understand. The program which does this job is called as a compiler. So when you are writing application using language like C or .cpp, or maybe there are a bunch of other languages like Objective-C and so on and so forth, all of them are the compiled languages, because they use compiler to translate .c program into assembly code, and then the assembly code will be fed to the CPU. So basically there is a stage where we are converting our program, our C program, into the assembly code, and that assembly code will get executed by the CPU. So this is how the story goes. So this is the CPU, this is the assembly code generated by our compiler, and the compiled assembly code will be fed to the CPU, and the CPU would run my code there. So this is the story of a compiled programming languages. Any programming language which is doing this job is called as a compiled language. So a programming language which involves the executable to execute the logic instead of executing the source code directly is called as a compiled language. Now again, when you say this is the C, it is going to convert that into an executable. So precisely, I can put that assembly right here, and I can say that it converts that into executable. Again, don't get it like this is a .exe for Windows. I'm talking about exe means executable. So executable, which you can double click on it and it will execute. So that's what an executable is. So when you are using a compiler, you are going to get an executable out of it, and that executable will have the assembly language. That executable will get fed to the CPU, and CPU will obey your instructions and will execute them, and you will get the output. So that is what you mean by a compiled language. Now, please remember, when you talk about the compiled language, you will get an executable, and that executable is going to be the platform dependent, or maybe I can say operating system dependent. You can call it as an operating system, or you can call it as a platform. I'll say that it is platform dependent. And when you say platform dependent, these are called as the native applications. Now, probably when you are downloading an application, and if you see an option like download for Mac or download for Windows or download for Linux separately, you can say that that application is a native application. Native applications are generally created by using compiled languages like, for example, C, C++, Pascal, Objective-C, Swift, and so on and so forth. All of them are going to give you the compiled language, a compiled version, or the .executable file. Okay, now if you are using the compiled languages, there are few stages there. It's something called as a pre-processing, or something called as a compiling, something called as an assembling, and something called as a linking. Now, please bear with me, because I know what we are supposed to talk. We are supposed to talk about the Python. Then why am I talking about the compiled languages? There is a secret to it. Just wait for a minute and you will get all the things clear. Generally, you will not be able to understand the things when you are going in the forward. But when we reach at the stage, you can look at the backward and you can connect the dots. Later, once we are done with this entire session today, you will understand why we talked about compiled languages and why we talked about interpreted languages in a little bit depth. So you will understand that later once we are done with this. So bear with me and try to understand what I'm trying to show you here. So when you talk about the compiled languages, it comes with different stages. The pre-processing stage is where it is used to pre-process the code. Pre-process in a sense, when you are writing a code, and if the code is going to need some kind of conversions, that conversions will be done inside the pre-processing stage. It also removes all the comments, because generally comments are used for the developers to understand what exactly is the logic what you have written there, or maybe if you are putting some instructions like remove this code, or maybe optimize this code in the future, that kind of comment will be removed at the time of pre-processing. It also expands your code. So probably if you are coming from C background, then you might have heard about hash defined macros. So these kind of macros will get expanded in the pre-processing stage. And finally, it also does the conditional compilation. Means if you are on Windows, then it will execute the Windows code. It will compile or it will pre-process the Windows code. If you are on Linux, it will also go for the Linux code compilation, and so on and so forth. This is called as conditional compilation. Excuse me. Now, once you are done with the pre-processing, the next stage is the compilation. So compiler is used to translate the preprocessing code into assembly instructions specific to the target processor architecture. So here your entire code gets converted into the assembly language. Next is the assembling. Assembler is used to translate the assembly instruction to the object code. Object code is the one where the instructions will be fed to the CPU in terms of zeros and ones. So basically, compiler will convert that into .exe, or you can say the executable. The executable will have the assembly code, and after that, we are going to use assembler to convert that into ones and zeros. And then finally, there is a linking. The linker is used in this stage to rearrange the code and insert the missing files to create an executable. Linking is the stage where the actual executable gets created. And once that executable gets created, this executable becomes platform dependent. Means executable on Windows will work only on Windows. Executable designed for Mac will run only on Mac. Executable created only Linux only will work on Linux. So that's how it goes. This is called as compiled language. A compiled language is where we are not going to run the original program. We are going to run rather the compiled version of it. So remember, we are not going to run the original source code. We are going to compile it, and then we will run the actual executable there. So that is how we are going to use the compiled languages for. The best programming language, the best compiled programming language is C or even C++. Okay, so here probably the compiled language is going to give you the executable. But did you see that it has a kind of downside of it? When I say downside, that means it is operating system or platform dependent. So when I say platform dependent, that means if you're developing an application, you have to develop it for 3 different platforms, at least 3 different platforms. So probably if I just go back here and open my Chrome somewhere, just give me a sec. It's on the other one. Here it is. And if I just search for, let's say, download, let's say Chrome, for example. So if you're downloading Chrome, see what I'm trying to show you here. So if I'm downloading a Chrome on my machine, it says, hey, download this Chrome for Mac. It understood that I'm running this browser on my Mac operating system. But if you just go towards the end of it somewhere and you can click on that other platforms, you will see that the same Chrome application can be downloaded for Mac, Android, iOS, Windows, and Linux separately. In a sense, if I download, let's say, Windows version of it, if I download, let's say, yes, just download it and probably install it here, you see that it has downloaded the exe. And if I try to run that exe, it says, hey, you cannot run that exe here because Microsoft Windows applications are not supported on Mac OS X. In a sense, when I downloaded that Windows application, this will run only on Windows. This will not run on Mac. This will neither run on Linux as well. Why? Because that's what I was talking about. These are the native applications. And when I say native applications, they are platform dependent. If you're developing them for Mac, it will run only for Mac. If you're developing them for Windows, it will again run only on Windows. So that's how it goes. Now, if I want to make my application a kind of portable, or if I want to run my application on any platform once I develop it, you should go for something called as an interpreted language. Have you seen that when you are using a browser and if you are going to browse a website like, let's say, google.com, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you are going for a mobile device or whether you are going for a desktop or whether you are going for a server, or if you are using Chrome or Firefox, any of the browser, it will just give you the output when you are going to that website. How is it possible? It is possible because the website you are designing is a kind of interpreted program. Now, when I say interpreted program, the main advantage of interpreted program is like it is platform independent. So the programming language, which is kind of converting your code, your source code into an executable, is called as compiled language, which makes your code platform dependent. But if you want to make your code platform independent, you can go for interpreted language. And when you are going for interpreted language, the language mostly executes the source code directly, freely, without previously compiling the program into an executable. So basically, when you're talking about something called interpreted language, that code is going to get executed directly. We don't need to compile it. We directly run that code, run that source code. And whenever you are running that source code, the program would literally become platform independent. So best example, again, Python, JavaScript, Perl, Basic, PHP, all of them are the interpreted languages. Now, there is an asterisk here. Python, is it a really interpreted language? I'll tell you that in a moment, once we start writing a code with that. Okay, just wait for a minute. So interpretation is used in the language executable from the high level source code to get converted into low level source code directly. So it's not like it is going to convert that into into a separate executable. It will start getting executed directly. So what do you mean by this? Check this out. So for example, if I'm writing a code here, let's say I'm writing a code like HTML. Now, if I want to run that HTML, I don't need to convert it to an executable. I just feed this code to the browser, and browser behind the scene will run your direct HTML code from top to bottom, line by line, from left to right. So it's going to run your HTML code line number 1, and it will continue executing it line by line. So that's how it is going to execute it. This is called as interpretation. Interpretation is the technique where your code, the source code you have developed, will get executed. It will not get converted into an executable. So interpreted programs are platform independent. Let me mention this here. These are platform independent. But there is a downside of it as well. So when you're saying platform independent, to make them platform independent, you have to just sacrifice the speed or sacrifice the performance. So interpreted languages are a little bit slower than the compiled languages. Why? The reason is very simple. When you are converting your original source code to an executable, the executable can be directly fed to the CPU. And that's the reason why they are a little bit faster. In this case, we cannot directly pass that HTML to my CPU. So ultimately, browser is an application which will convert your code to the assembly instruction one by one, and then it will pass that to the CPU. See, ultimately, unless your code is converted to the CPU instructions or the assembly instructions, you will not going to get an output. Why? Again, answer is very simple, because CPU is the only one which is going to execute the code. And if the CPU is the only one which is going to execute the code, somehow you have to convert your code to the assembly language. Now, who does that? This is done by using the interpreter. Interpreter like browser is going to interpret your code and will convert that to the CPU. So that's how it goes. So basically, in both the languages, we have to go to the CPU, but how it reaches to the CPU, that matters here. If you are doing whole code at once and you create an executable out of it, this is called as this is called as a compiled language. And if you're doing it line by line, one by one, then this is called as an interpreted language. So again, remember that there are two types of languages here. One is called as a compiled language, and the other one is called as an interpreted language. The advantage of compiled languages, they are faster. The disadvantage is like they are platform dependent. The advantage of interpreted languages, they are platform independent, but the disadvantage or the drawback of interpreted languages, they are a little bit slower, because every time the browser has to convert every instruction to the CPU understandable form, and then it has to execute it. That's the reason they are a little bit slow. So that are the two different types that you need to remember, the compiled language and the interpreted language. Now let's talk about the Python. Now, if you understood the compiled and the interpreted, now let us see the Python and see where Python fits in this category. So let us understand the Python now. So again, we are going to understand how Python works in a little bit, a couple of minutes, but understand this first, and then we'll see how that interpreted and how that compiled will stay together in the Python code. Okay, just see it. So what is a Python? A Python is a general purpose programming language. It's a high level and interpreted language. Again, there is a star mark here. Now, why am I adding a star or asterisk there? I'll mention that in a moment. But now, hopefully you can understand, when I say it is a general purpose, I already explained what general purpose means. When I say high level, I already have explained that as well. And when I say interpreted, I think I already have explained that as well. So now I don't think you will find any difficulty to understand this statement. What is a Python? A Python is a general purpose, high level and interpreted language. To be very precise, it's a mixed language, but we'll see that in a moment. It is a dynamically typed and garbage collected language. Now, what is dynamically typed? Now, tomorrow, when we start with the actual code, you will understand that there is no way you can decide the data type of your variables. The data types are given by Python dynamically. That's what you mean by dynamic typed. Don't worry, in tomorrow's sessions, all the things will get clear. Another best feature of Python is like garbage collection. Garbage collection in a sense, later on, you don't have to worry about your memory. If you're coming from C or C++, you might have noticed that the memory has to be managed by you. In a sense, when you are writing your code, you have to think about allocating the memory, and you have to keep track of it, and you have to deallocate it before your program exits. This is not the case in Python. In Python, everything is managed by the Python itself. You don't have to do anything for that. So that's garbage collection. It's called as automatic memory management. It supports programming paradigms like the procedure programming. This is something like a POP that can be also done with Python. You can also go for object-oriented programming, because Python is an object-oriented programming. We can also go for functional programming. Now, this is the another aspect. We'll see that later when we go for map or filter or reduce, and you will see how the functional programming language features shines in Python. And finally, you can go for the aspect-oriented programming, meta programming, or the magic meta objects. One of the examples of aspect-oriented programming is called as meta classes. If you can recall, in my other sessions, one of the advanced topics I mentioned, meta classes. It comes under this topic, aspect-oriented programming. We'll explore that towards the end of it. Again, Python language has heavily dependent on the indentation to create the blocks, which make it very easy to read the code. Now, tomorrow you will understand more about what is the indentation here, or what it can be used for. So tomorrow you will see this. Now, as I said earlier, Python alone is not useful. Python can be used along with different packages. So there are more than 130,000 packages included with a wide range of functionality. For example, if you want to write a program for GUI, yes, you can do that in Python, because there is a package for that, something called as a PyTK. PyTK is the package which can be used for designing the GUI applications there. If you want to design the web applications, no problem, there is a package for that. Something like a Django or something like a Flask can be used for designing a web applications or web frameworks. Networking, ton of options for you. Automation, ton of packages for you. Web scraping, again, ton of packages for you. For example, Selenium is the best option when you go for web scraping, or there are different packages available there. What exactly the package means, don't worry, I'll explain every single thing. What is a package and what is a module later in the session. Right now, just understand, package is the functionality that can be used in your program. For example, if I want to design a website, I cannot design only with the help of Python. I have to write some different functionalities to this, to create the view, or to add the click handlers. This can't be done directly with the Python alone. We need to take the help from different packages or different extra libraries. Think about packages are the libraries. Those libraries will help you to write your code. So there are more than 130,000 packages available, which will help you to write your program in variety of ways. So again, don't worry, when we go to that session, we'll talk about modules and packages. So Nikita, don't worry about this. The answer will be given later in the session. Okay, I can't explain that right now, because we don't have the the Python programming languages fundamentals yet. So let's cover the fundamentals, and then I'll talk about the modules and packages. Tanaya, I'll explain the dynamic typed languages tomorrow, because for that we have to write the code, and we have to do that practically. We haven't started writing the code yet. So tomorrow's session, you will see what do you mean by dynamically typed, and how dynamically typed is going to help you to write to create the variables on the fly dynamically. So wait for tomorrow, and you will see that answer tomorrow, Tanaya. Okay. Okay, so you know what Python is. In short, Python is a general purpose programming language, can be used for developing any type of programming, any type of application there. Now, who developed this? I think I mentioned that last time. It was developed by a person, Guido Rossum, in Netherlands around 1980s. So this is the person who has developed that, who has developed the Python. Now, it is considered as a successor to the programming language called as ABC, which itself is inspired by Settle. So Settle is one of the languages from which the ABC got inspired, and from ABC, Guido Rossum created his own language. Its implementation began in December 1989. It's pretty old now, and Guido Rossum continued using the Python lead developer until July 2018. So July 2018 was the last day where he was acting as a lead developer. Then he stopped working as it, and then he literally donated that project to the open source. And now the open source community is kind of handling all the changes, all the new features in the Python. So when he announced his permanent vacation from his responsibilities, a team of 5 members was developed in the Jan to 2019 and lead the project. So that team is now leading all the new advanced features in Python. So just remember, Guido Rossum is the person who has developed the Python, and this is the person who has given the best language to the world. Yes. Guido Rossum and von Rossum is the same person. It's the name actually. So Guido von Rossum is the full name of him. Guido Rossum is a kind of name there. So both of them are the same persons. Sachin, exactly. Okay, now let us talk about different versions available. So when it got released around 1991, it was 0.90. They were having some small features or small set of features there, like the inheritance or something like exception handling functions and so on and so forth. That was the first release given to the world. In almost like 1994, version 1 started getting its shape, where they have included the features like the functional programming, lambda, filter, then map and reduce, and so on and so forth. Way back in 1994, it started supporting the functional aspect of it. Very popular these days for the data science or for the machine learning. Then in year 2000, it started giving, the Python came with the version 2, which was introduced the features like the comprehension, garbage collection, and the generators. Again, little bit advanced features. We are going to see that later in the course. Then at the same time, they have developed their own license scheme called as a Python Software Foundation License, PSF. And version 2.7.16 is, it got released in March 2019, last year. It's now kind of deprecated here. So probably I'll say that it is a deprecated because we are now having the latest version of Python, and that is called as a Python version 3. Only when you already are having an existing Python application, you will use Python 2. But when you are developing a Python from scratch these days, we'll not use 2, but rather we'll stick to the latest version, and that is a 3. It could be 3.7, it could be 3.8, it could be 3. Whatever version we are using. But for us, the language version is 3. So we are going to learn Python 3. It's also called as a Python 3000 or Py3K. This is the one which we are also going to use. It was designed to rectify the fundamental design flaws in the language, and that's the reason it is the version that we are going to use. Python 3 had emphasis on removing the duplicate constructors and modules. We'll see what you mean by that later in the course. And the current version, maybe at the time they have released around June 2019, was 3.7, but right now they have released it 3.8 as well. So today, if you are going to install Python, probably you will see it is going to install something like Python 3.8. And again, it doesn't matter. What we need is Python 3.x. Different features. Python is a free and open source. Again, you don't have to pay any license cost for that. It's a mature programming language. You might have seen that around 1991 it got released. Now it is to 2020. So more than 2 decades where these people have spent improving the language. It's very mature language. It supports, it's a supportive user community. If you're stuck somewhere, if you need some help, you can definitely ask those questions to this community, and the community will definitely help you out to solve the problems. Elegant design and easy to learn. Believe me, it's very, very simple. It's rather the simplest language to learn. Extremely portable, which means you can run your applications from a smallest computer to the supercomputer. So this is a very, very portable language. It compiles to interpreted by code. Aha, this is the point which I was looking for. We'll talk about this point in a minute in details, because this is a kind of the kind of thing that you should understand thoroughly. I'll talk about it. Memory management is using the reference counting. Again, when we go for automatic memory management in the later in the course, you will understand what do you mean by reference counting algorithm. I'll explain that in depth later. It provides the interfaces to the various languages. In a sense, using Python, you can call the different languages functions or different languages program. From Python, you can invoke the C programs code, or from Python you can call some different languages code as well. So there are different interfaces available as well that can be also done. So probably when you talk about the Python is a general purpose programming language which is a free and open source, and it can be used for doing various different aspects. Okay, so what are we going to use here for? What exactly the Python is going to be used for in the industry? It can be used for designing console applications or command line applications. It can be also used for developing GUI applications. It can be also used for developing web scraping applications or web scripting applications. Both of them are true. It can be also used for developing the scientific application, or scientists. These people do some kind of R&D, so they can also use these applications for doing some kind of calculations quickly. It can be also used for designing some extensions. It can be also used for XML and JSON processing a lot. These days it is using JSON and XML a lot to get the data from different sources in data source in the data science and in the ML. It can be also used for database application. One thing I missed in that slide is the database connection. So basically, I'm going to connect my Python application later to the MySQL, and we'll get the database operation done in that context. So I did not mention that, but let me mention before I forget. So we are going to write an application which will get the data from user and which will perform the database operations, all 4 database operations. We are going to see that later in the course. Next, we can use Python for machine learning applications, and also it can be used for designing the image processing algorithms. So basically, I'm just scratching the surface here. There are a variety of domains, there are a variety of different platforms where that Python can be used to design applications. So Python is a general purpose. It's a very popular, free, and open source application. Okay, so probably this is how these are the different domains in which we can write the Python application. Now, this is an important question. Probably many people asked that question earlier, like how and what should I do in order to run the Python application? Sorry, my bad, not here. In order to run your Python application on your machine. So how do you do that? You can do that by downloading Python on your machine. So you can download the Python from python.org/download. Just go to that site. So you can say python.org/download. You can just go there, and probably you will find the download section. You can find out the latest version is 3.8.5. Depending on where you are, whether you are on Windows or whether you are on Linux or whether you are on Mac, or whether you are using some Unix or other operating system. So depending on that, you can download your application. You can download the version. So probably you can do that today so that you will be prepared for the tomorrow's extensive coding, and then you can start writing the code. It's very simple. Probably I can show you that if you are on Mac OS X, because I'm on Mac OS X right now, I can go for downloading it for Mac OS X. It just download the latest version, whatever it is. It will get downloaded in a moment or two. And once it gets downloaded, probably you just click on next, and it will get installed. The same is true for Windows as well. Just go to the downloads again, go to the Windows section and download whichever version or whichever operating system you are on. So probably I can download the Windows executable installer, for example. So it is going to install that. It's going to download that Python executable. Just click next. It will install Python on your machine. There's no point downloading that application on my machine. So you can download it on your machine as well. Okay, so probably just download the latest version on your machine and get ready with it. So probably we'll see that starting from tomorrow. Please do not use Python 2.0. If the Python 2.0 is already installed on your machine, just leave it as it is. Download 3 version again, and then we'll start using Python 3. There are syntactical changes and conceptual changes from 2 to 3. So it's better we should use Python 3.0. Okay, so be with me. So this is what we are going to need to compile our program, to run our program. But to write the program, we need an IDE. So which IDE are we going to use? We can use any IDEs there. We can use the online compilers as well, or online IDEs as well. There are a bunch of them. If you just search, and you can find few of them, and you can write the code directly on the browser. But we are going to use some offline editors or offline IDEs. We can also go for Visual Studio Code, the one which is a very famous, and the one can be used for writing any type of code. So this is Visual Studio Code. This Visual Studio Code can be used for writing any type of code. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, you can go to the extensions, and you can run or you can install a extension for Python. So search for Python. There are many different extensions available. Use the official one, and then you'll be able to use Visual Studio Code for writing the Python application. The only problem with the Visual Studio Code is it's not going to give you the IntelliSense, and hopefully we love IntelliSense, so we can save term of time. So basically I want to go for IntelliSense, and that's the reason why I'm not going to use Visual Studio Code. You have 2 better options for you instead of VS Code. You can either go for Spider or you can go for PyCharm. I already have used the Spider, but it is a little bit difficult from the user point of view. So it's better we can use the PyCharm. So starting from tomorrow, we are going to use this IDE called as a PyCharm, and PyCharm is one of the best IDEs here. So this is the program we have designed. Okay, this is the last batch. So probably this is the program, or this is the PyCharm that we are going to use starting from tomorrow. So I would suggest first install all these things today. So starting from tomorrow, we can start writing the code. But anyways, because we are here, I'm going to start writing a very simple hello world application. So do this today, and probably we'll start using it tomorrow. Anyways, we'll talk about this in a minute. First, I'm going to start writing a very simple code. To do this, I'm going to say PyCharm. This is the ID that you are going to see when you install it. You open this, you decide the directory where you want to run where you want to store your code. I'm going to go to the Sunbeam. I'll go to the 2020 February, maybe in workshops. Do we have Python 3? Okay, so this is Python 4. This is the next batch, Python 04. And right here, I'll create a directory called as day one. And right inside this day one, I'll store my programs. It's very simple, by the way. All we have to do here is simply create a directory and then open that directory inside the PyCharm. So inside this PyCharm, you can simply right click on this, say new, and don't select the file, just select the Python file and give it a name. So probably I'll call it as a page one. And you see that in your code, you are having the page1.py. So this is the file where we are going to write the code. So where should we download this PyCharm from? Not a big deal, you just search for PyCharm directly. This is given by a very nice company called as a JetBrains. JetBrains is the company which is famous for designing all those IDs. And it's free and open source. Again, you don't have to pay any license cost for that. When you're downloading PyCharm, you will see it's generally free. You don't have to go for professional version. Professional version is there, which is a paid version, but we are going to use the free community edition. And when I say free community edition, we don't have to pay any license cost to anyone. Okay, so download it from this website. It's better for me to just copy this here on your chat. So probably I'll just copy that in a chat. Just go there, click on that, and then probably you'll be able to download that. Please download the community edition, and once you download it, it's a little bit higher, almost like 200 or 300 MB. So download it, and then you'll be able to install it. Installation is very simple. Click next, it will get installed. Those who are using Anaconda, fine, you can go for the Conda environment as well, but I would recommend to go for PyCharm because PyCharm is a little bit, lighter than using Anaconda. Anaconda is a little bit higher. It comes with ton of different things which you don't even need that. So probably better you just go for PyCharm. Omkar, PyCharm is available for all the different operating systems. So if you go for download option, you will see that it is available for Mac, it's available for Linux, and it's available for Windows as well. So all we have to do here is, if you're on Windows, for example, download the community edition. If you're on Mac, download the community edition. If you're on Linux, download the community edition. That's it. You don't need anything other than that. I hope you are getting the point. All we have to do here is just download it, extract it, and run the installer. Other than that, you don't have to do anything. Okay. Rushikesh will talk about adding Python 3.7 to the path and other stuff tomorrow, because tomorrow is the day where we are going to start writing the actual code. Today, I'm just telling you, like, just get them installed, and starting from tomorrow, we'll write the code. Okay. So probably I'm going to start writing a very simple code here. I'm not expecting you to write the code today, but at least I want to run a simple hello world application. And believe me, it's very simple. All we are going to say here is print hello world. That's it. We are done. I mean, this is the simplest hello world program in Python. You notice that this is the function we are calling print, where we are saying hello world, and we don't even use the semicolon here because semicolon is optional in Python. Such a relief, So when you're writing a Python application, you don't need to use a semicolon there. Just write the code and you are good to go. So probably when you say you have written that code, all you have to do here is right click on that and say run application, run that page1.py. So just click on that run page1.py and look, it tells me that hello world. That's it. This is the simplest application you must have seen compared to the other languages. All we have to say here is say print hello world, and that's it. You don't even need a semicolon for that. So this is the simplest hello world application. In that hello world application, we have done nothing, really nothing. We just use the function called as a printf, and then we have just printed the hello world on the screen. Now when you talk about something like this, we have said that the program is working, but I don't know what is happening behind the scene. I mean, when I say behind the scene, what exactly the Python is doing it. Are you kind of executing that code behind the scene, or are you kind of interpreting that code, or are you kind of compiling the code? If I have that question in my mind, then probably you are going to get that answer in the tomorrow's session. So that's a little bit secret. Remember, a couple of times I use the asterisk mark. Like when I said that Python is a interpreted language, I use asterisk marks there. When I said Python is going to get compiled, I said asterisk marks there. So maybe you can see it here. I put the asterisk marks just because there are few secrets here. And those secrets I'm going to reveal in tomorrow's code. Okay, so today just get the things installed. Maybe if you just try that print hello world and just see that if it is running or not. There is no header file like C. You don't have to go for hash include. Nothing is there. All you have to do here is print hello world. This is the simplest programming language. Believe me, it's the simplest programming language. All we have to do here is just download the PyCharm, just download the Python, and you are done. You don't need anything, really anything for that. It's very, very, very simple language. Yes, it is there is no main function. So probably you are asking the question like, where is the main function? Where is the entry point function? Where is the header file inclusion? There is nothing there. I would really request you people, do not compare Python with C or other languages. You will get a bit confused. Leave those languages aside. We are coming into the different part of the world. And when I say different part of the world, in this world, everything is simple. So get one thing in your head. This is the simplest language on the earth. When I say simplest language, you see how simple is that? It's just one line of code, print hello world. Everything is working as per our expectation. I was expecting to print hello world on console. I see that result right here on the console. See how simple is that? All we are doing here is simply printing the hello world. Though it is a simple from outside, it is not that simple from inside. So tomorrow we are going to peep inside it and we'll see what exactly happens behind the scene. When I say what happens behind the scene, tomorrow I'll tell you something called as a PVM, something called the Python virtual machine. I'll tell you what happens when you run this code, how the program gets compiled into the bytecodes, how the bytecode gets converted into the real assembly code, and how the actual assembly code gets executed by using something called as a Python virtual machine, or PVM. Okay, so starting from tomorrow, we are going to write the code. And before we write the code, we will see what happens behind the scene when we write this kind of code. Okay, so probably this is a simplest programming language. You will take very less effort to learn it. And believe me, once you learn it, you can write any type of application there. So as I said, this is going to be this is going to be a session where we were supposed to talk about only the environment setup. We talk about how that course is going to run and what the different topics we are just going to cover. I think this is something which which must have given you an idea about what exactly is coming in a couple of weeks from now. I think it's okay to call it a day today. This is just an introduction to Python. This is just an introduction to the course, to be precise. The official course will start from tomorrow, because tomorrow is the day where we will start writing the code. And not only starting the code, from tomorrow onwards, we will start digging into it and we'll see what happens behind the scene. So that if you are running this on different platforms, then probably it will help you to understand what happens behind the scene. I mean, you are working as an embedded designer, no problem. Python shines in an embedded world as well. Rather, Python is one of the preferred languages on the embedded platform. Embedded platform in a sense, when you are developing an IoT application. So in that IoT, Python is kind of preferred language, because Python is simple language, because Python is a memory efficient language. Generally, this language is preferred on the IoT devices as well. And IoT is nothing but Raspberry Pi, for example. Absolutely, it's nothing but an IoT device, so it's nothing but a kind of embedded language. Okay, definitely. So Utpal, yes, you are going to get that PPT. I'm going to share that on your WhatsApp, and probably there you are going to see it. Now, there are a few more topics that we have to see from that PPT. It's not yet finished. So tomorrow we will continue with the Python compilers, the C Python point of view. We'll run Hello World application one more time, and I'm going to explain what exactly happens behind the scene. So this is what we are going to see in tomorrow's session, and we'll talk about the Python virtual machine. Okay, so I'll share this PPT file on your WhatsApp group after we are done with the session. And starting from tomorrow, we are going to start writing the code. Are you guys well? I mean, are you guys okay with this? Okay, fine, no problem. Again, I would recommend you to be ready with your machine tomorrow. We are going to start writing the code. Get everything installed. If you face any problem, put the question on chat, on WhatsApp. I'll try to resolve them. And probably once you are there, we will both write the code together. That's what the point here is. Okay. Again, I think it's better we can call it a day today, and we'll continue tomorrow with the next point of view. Okay, no problem. Parth, sorry, I did not do that. Just give me a sec, Parth. You said a couple of times, but I forgot to do that. Parth, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and ask what you want to do. What do you want to ask?
Hi, Amit. First of
Yes.
all, thank you so much for, it was amazing lecture. My question is, can you please share your code before the lecture, because so that we can first apply and we can a bit like
You
it's
can
for
prepare the
us
mindset you're talking
if
about.
we
No,
sorry.
no problem. You're talking about preparing your mindset so that you will see what is coming.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, we can apply this code because I know a bit Python, but I don't know, like it's difficult for me to do coding with you at your speed or something, right? So
Yes.
if I do a bit early, it will really helpful for us.
No problem, absolutely. So it's not possible for me to give you the code what I'm going to write. That will be future actually. So what I can do better, because this is the fourth batch, and fortunately, just give me a second. I'm going to open the Finder window here. So probably if I just go back and if I just show you, this is something which I can do, and tell me if it is okay for you. I can share the code which we have written in the previous batch, I mean the Python 3.0. So there you will see we ran that for almost like 21 days, official 21 days. And I mean, I did not even count the earlier ones as well. So this is the day, this is the code that I can share with you that will give you enough idea about what we are going to cover on the daily basis. Is that okay with you, Parth? Parth, are you okay with that? Not able to hear you. Oh, okay. You are putting the message. I thought maybe you're going to unmute yourself. No problem. So probably that can be done easily, because you will get a complete idea about what exactly you are going to see in the course. And probably if you want to prepare yourself, maybe you can look at the code and then you can prepare your mindset, and then we can start writing the code. That will also, you can't unmute yourself. How come? Okay. I just tried to unmute you. I'm sorry. Try to
Yeah,
unmute. Yes.
yes, now I can unmute myself.
Yeah.
It is only because that I'm in the I'm the an outside of India. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's really helpful for me. That's why I'm just asking you these things. Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you so
No,
much.
no problem, Path. It's absolutely right. And if you are getting the code before we start with the session, that will give you an idea about what exactly is coming. So you can prepare yourself as well. Definitely. Appreciate that.
Yes, yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very
Bye bye.
much for
Have a
that.
lovely day to you. Bye. Yep.
Bye bye. So, no problem. Sure. Okay. Thank you guys for attending today's session. I'll see you exactly at 8 o'clock tomorrow. And probably we'll continue with writing the code. Okay. No problem. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.